Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, with some thoughts on Saul Alvarez after his victory over Ryan Rhodes. He even got the knockout for us. I'm very happy. He's been good to gamblersadvisory.com. Now, that said, understand that when you look at this fight, there are many things that are troubling, right? Ryan Rhodes did not fight his fight, and quite frankly, I'm not sure if Ryan Rhodes was prevented from fighting his fight. Saul Alvarez, as I've discussed in my pre-fight video, is a very heavy-handed, long-range guy who works behind a jab, kind of like Vladimir Klitschko. But it's an open question whether or not Saul Alvarez can handle real inside pressure. When someone breaks through on Vladimir Klitschko grabs them, right? Klitschko is not a guy in close who can hit you to the ribs and things like that. One of the secrets to Klitschko's upcoming fight against David Haye, and David Haye himself told you this secret in the HBO Face-Off with Max Kellerman. One of the secrets to that fight is David Haye is vowing that he will not allow Vladimir Klitschko to grab him, right? He's saying he's not going to allow Klitschko to jab and grab, right? What David Haye is telegraphing is that when he jumps inside on an ambush, if he hits Vladimir Klitschko, he's not going to allow Klitschko to smother him, right? The inference is that Klitschko doesn't have an inside game otherwise, right? Klitschko's not going to get low, duck his head, start throwing combinations to the body. He's not going to act inside like Andre Ward did against Alan Green. Now let's get back to Canelo. You know, it's an open question on what Canelo would do if someone gets inside. I thought Ryan Rhodes was going to fight this fight like he fought the Jamie Moore fight. I was expecting Ryan Rhodes to actually have moments where he got inside, where he put his head on Canelo's chest, where he roughed up Canelo a little bit inside, where he treated Canelo like Jorge Arce treated Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. Right? I thought Ryan Rhodes, if he wanted to win the fight, was going to push the issue. Take a look at the film. You're going to see a moat around Canelo, right? Ryan Rhodes, curiously, doesn't come inside to smother Canelo. I understand he was surprised by Canelo's punching power, like Shane Mosley was surprised by Manny Pacquiao's punching power. Unfortunately, Ryan Rhodes then decided to do a Shane Mosley impersonation, right? He stood right in front of Canelo. Isn't that the worst place to be in the ring? He stood right in front of Canelo. Canelo was able to land his jab. Canelo was able to follow that up with power punches. Canelo was able to rough him up. Canelo, who isn't that great a mover, right? Canelo is not George Groves. He's not Andre Durrell, right? Canelo, who's not that good a mover, whose inside game is, quite frankly, an open question, right? We know he has the great left hook from distance. I know he can throw that straight right hand from distance. I know he can hit you to the body from distance. Can he do it up close when he doesn't have leverage? Does he even know how to tie you up? Because he certainly didn't know how to tie up Jose Miguel Cotto in the first round of their fight. I encourage you to look up that first round here on YouTube. That video's up, right? Ryan Rhodes didn't even force Alvarez to tie him up to blunt an attack. Didn't even push the issue. Well, my point is this. You know, in boxing, your opponent doesn't care how old you are. right? Contenders want the title. Canelo shouldn't be judged as a 20-year-old. Canelo should be judged as the guy holding the 154-pound belt, who contenders view with suspicion, because it really can't be said that he won that belt, right? Matthew Hatton never wore the belt at 154. Matthew Hatton was never a world beater at 154. How is a fight between Canelo and Matthew Hatton for the 154-pound championship when you have men like Vanis Martirosyan, Powell Wolak, and Alfredo Angulo? Let me just say this, too. Canelo, who doesn't have blinding hand speed, and keep in mind, I'm a Canelo fan. Look at my pre-fight video for the Rhodes fight. Look for my pre-fight video for the Jose Miguel Cotto fight. I'm a Canelo fan. But Canelo doesn't have blinding hand speed. Let's get real for a second here. Let's get past the media narrative. Let's get past the public narrative, right? Canelo doesn't have Vanis Martirosyan's hand speed. He doesn't have Vanis Martirosyan's height. Martirosyan's 6 feet tall. Canelo's 5'9". He doesn't have Vanis Martirosyan's foot speed. Vanis Martirosyan is his mandatory challenger. I think that fight is too risky for Canelo. Much too risky. I think what Canelo has to do, what I'm recommending here, especially in light of the video on YouTube of Vanis Martirosyan sparring with the now 160-pound champion, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? In light of that video where Martirosyan clearly has the upper hand and is able to acquit himself well with Chavez Jr. up on him. And keep in mind, Chavez Jr. is a body puncher. He knows how to work inside. There's no question on whether Chavez Jr. knows what to do inside. And yet, Vanis Martirosyan diffuses him in that video. They actually spar a few rounds, right? That video is up on YouTube. I encourage you to take a look at it. Now, no one knows who Vanis Martirosyan is. People in boxing know. He's an open secret in boxing. But the public isn't clamoring to give him a multi-million-dollar payday like they are for Canelo. If I'm Canelo, and I understand Canelo wants to fight on the undercard of Victor Ortiz against Floyd Mayweather, if I'm Canelo, I have to make a shrewd business decision here. I have to realize that fighting Martirosyan is too risky. I'm sure Canelo would rather make $5 to $10 million fighting Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather than he would making $2 to $4 million fighting Vanis Martirosyan. Martirosyan is simply too dangerous. Make no mistake, I think Canelo loses to Manny Pacquiao. I think Canelo loses to Floyd Mayweather. If Mayweather loses to Victor Ortiz, I think Canelo loses to Victor Ortiz. Understand, forget age, right? No one's going to talk about age when you're talking about elite fighters. All of the fighters that I've just named have some kind of major advantage on Canelo. Manny Pacquiao, quite frankly, is much faster than Saul Alvarez. Don't be fooled by the weight. Manny Pacquiao himself at one point was the 154-pound champion, right? Pacquiao has been close to 150 for fights. He weighed more than Oscar De La Hoya when the two of them met. I believe Manny Pacquiao weighed something like 148 pounds for his fight against Oscar De La Hoya. I think Manny Pacquiao would be too fast for Saul Alvarez. Keep in mind, too, Pacquiao's speed isn't just his hands. Pacquiao's foot speed is much faster than Saul Alvarez's. I think Manny Pacquiao's too fast for Saul Alvarez. I think Floyd Mayweather would find too many holes in Saul Alvarez's game. Understand, Floyd Mayweather has fought guys who are excellent inside, like Ricky Hatton. And Mayweather has been able to defuse those guys. Mayweather would have a hand speed advantage on Saul Alvarez, and quite frankly, Mayweather would know how to, out of his Philly shell, get close enough to Saul Alvarez to make him uncomfortable. Plus, since Alvarez works primarily from distance, right, I think Mayweather would be able to quickly defuse Alvarez's left hook and his straight right hand. Victor Ortiz, all I could say is you're talking about a guy who's an explosive puncher, just like Alvarez. Ortiz, even though he's the 147 champ, has weighed well more than 150 for some fights. And Ortiz is cat quick, has leverage Saul Alvarez does not have, has foot speed Saul Alvarez does not have, is an athlete on a level that Saul Alvarez is not. Take a look at Ortiz's fight against Vivian Harris. It is up on YouTube. You're going to see Ortiz coming in at angles, throwing vicious body punches. We don't even know how Saul Alvarez will react if he gets hit hard to the body. So my advice to Saul Alvarez, all I can say is Ryan Rhodes did not push the issue, did not come in and fight the kind of fight to test Saul Alvarez. My advice to Saul Alvarez is avoid Vanis Martirosyan. He's too dangerous. He's a huge risk, and he doesn't carry the high profile that these other guys do. I believe what Saul Alvarez needs to do is, in his non-mandatory fight, he needs to literally reach for the stars. He needs to go for the brass ring. He needs to challenge Pacquiao, Mayweather, or Ortiz. If Ortiz beats Mayweather, he needs to challenge those guys because I'm sure he'd much rather make $5 to $10 million fighting an elite fighter, and he has the kind of punching power where he'll always have a puncher's chance in every fight. He would rather make 5 to 10 than to make 2 to 4 fighting a hungry contender who might actually be better than he is. Right? I know that's heresy to say, but all I can say is Saul Alvarez, I haven't seen him show us an inside game. When he's fighting a Ryan Rhodes, and he has Ryan Rhodes beat by something like 9 rounds late in that fight, I'd like to see Saul Alvarez challenge himself, like Andre Ward challenged himself against an outgunned Edison Miranda. Right? Great fighters will literally give themselves rounds to dust off new skills. Right? What, Sergio Martinez, and let me just say this, Canelo needs to avoid Sergio Martinez at all costs. Sergio Martinez in the first round of the Paul Williams rematch fought a different style than he had the preceding 12 rounds. Right? Great fighters challenge themselves and dust off different styles. Canelo at this point seems to be too green and too young to do so. Right? He never comes inside, puts his shoulder on Ryan Rhodes, and tries to rough up Ryan Rhodes inside for any sustained period of time during his fight against Ryan Rhodes. Right? He's living off of a formula that has worked for him. Right? The problem is that formula is going to be predictable to the elites. So my point on Saul Alvarez is he needs to do what Felix Trinidad did when he fought the champ. I believe Trinidad was just something like 20 years old. Right? He's going to have to take the leap of faith that Julian Jackson did when Jackson took on Mike the Body Snatcher McCallum. Didn't work out for Jackson, but I believe Saul Alvarez is going to have to be bold, because if he stays at 154 and fights Martirosyan, Angulo, Powell Wolak, he could be in trouble. Let me know your thoughts.